what we want more often than not is to have something tangible, where the reason why you are doing what you're doing is to be able to have this thing in your hand or see it and touch it and say, this is why I do what we do. The reason why we are here is in celebration of, I can call it the human spirit, and I'm stealing this from ABSA, but it's to be able to invest, to help, to see, to grow, and to encourage people to become who they are to be. And so therefore, it gives me great pleasure to announce our very next speaker. And our next speaker is a gentleman by the name of Terance Nkosi, head smelter, Refinery, and he is the rising star for 2012 in the mining division. So, Terance, can you please make your way forward?
Now, as the statement states, I'm an engineer by background. So usually engineers, it's very easy to say calculate, derive, define. Explaining is very hard, especially from the heart. So I'll try my best. Before I continue with my speech, I think I felt it proper that we should give recognition to the sponsors of the event, that being Black Productions, that's Laura, Conrad, and Alista, and HCI Africa, that being Susie, and previous sponsors and current sponsors for taking a decision in South Africa to make such an event of a rising star. The concept itself, for bringing it to life, for sustaining it, and I know that in future it will still be there. Let us give them a round of applause. As it was said, my name is Terance Nkosi. I work at Refinery, which is one of the super refineries in the world, one of the two, and we are the biggest. We are outweighing Australia on that one. So it gives me a great pleasure to share what this award has done for me. So before I start to talk about the tangible benefits, first I'd like to mention the process itself, the journey. I'll take short in saying that for me the journey began in February 2012 when our chief executive, our financial director, and our company chief operating officer, they nominated me for the award. And they did so independently and unanimously that they think I'll be the candidate for the award. For me, that was a humbling experience, that they see it proper that I should be the ambassador for the company in entering the award. And for me, from that onset, what it did is that it gave me confidence in what I was doing, that what I was doing within the organization and outside the organization, that it was recognized from within. Because of the criteria that is used for the rising star, it's not talking about technical proficiency or academic qualification, but it looks at other qualities as well. So I was quite surprised when they wrote a motivation about me. They are aware of what I'm doing after hours at work. So on the 15th of May, I still remember, golf is at 2 o'clock. I met 3 gentlemen. I think I was the last one for the day. And that was before Nkosi came before me. So I looked at him, nicely dressed, he had his tie there. So I was following him and he looked tense, so I said, okay, this is a 2-hour interview, my way, what am I going to say? I'm used to 30 minutes interview. And with 3 gentlemen, I had the privilege of meeting 3 wonderful gentlemen by the name of Dr. Shane Hodgson, Hugo van der Walt, and Francis de Bruyn. They were very fantastic. I must say, in sharing my story with them, I was not thinking about winning or anything at the time, but I was actually humbled by how they see talent, because it was like a participative interview. So they shared the experiences and all that, and I ended up gaining a lot, because at the time I had a vision about what I was doing at my workplace, and somehow they gave me tips on how to execute some of the things which I will be talking about. So for me, I actually gained a lot from that interview, and I was even more humbled when the results came out that I actually won the award. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I was in Las Vegas at the time doing technical presentations, but it was humbling. Okay, so in short, what has the award meant for me as Terance Nkosi? First and foremost, it was very nice that I made it on page 13 of our Refinery annual integrated report. Okay, I was on page 13, I made it there. And that is the report that is shared with the shareholders, customers, and everybody, bankers, because we're in the gold industry. So even though they don't know who am I, they could see the line and the photo. There is a Terance Nkosi in the mist, who's rising and coming up. And this for me was a humbling experience, I must say, because for me, I've never won such an award before. So it was really humbling. And secondly, what it has done for me, it has strengthened my network. Currently in my midst, I can proudly say I know other rising stars. Like Nkosi saying, as I mentioned, I met with Hazel. I think the three of us are the three musketeers. We call ourselves that, I don't know why. And along the mist and through the summits, I met Buhle, a very passionate entrepreneur that I hope that will be engaging going forward. And there are many more that I've met, I can't remember right now. But I was quite pleased to meet such people, because in the world where we are going, we're moving into the information age, that it matters who you know, because it makes business much easier. So, and for me, also from the process, what I learned is that through last year's summit, the outcome that I picked up from the network, that when you operate in a workspace, trust is important at the workplace, because that's one thing I never gave too much thought about. Trust is very important. I think one of the speakers there said something like, employment is a relationship of trust. So if you break it and the trust is gone. I think at the time we're talking about the Marikana and all that. So I realized that word, trust, other people might say it's a construct or just a word, but it is the meaning that gives it more life, the actions associated that are attributed to the word that gives it more life. And for me, I was humbled by that, and I went back to my workplace. I tried to improve, I tried to network, I became more visible with my team. And from the feedback that I received in my 360 this year, actually it was positive, that my team tasked me wholeheartedly. And that is the part, okay? And then what the third part of the award has made me, that within the organization, you know, it's one thing that if you're Terance was saying something, but if you're the rising star, you say something, people take it serious. So you can't afford to mess around. So, and what was also humbling is that my fellow employees, especially the black employees, they look up to me and said they're actually humbled as I raised the flag for them. So for me, almost like sounded like it's a bit of a pressure, but it was an honor for me that they put me in that pedestal and they look at me as some kind of a role model for them. And some of even the young engineers have come to me to say, how did you do it? You want to be like you, want to actually do better than you. How did you do it? So I started sharing the story, what to do, what not to do, what to look out for. And also, in our organization, every year we submit a 5-year rolling strategy. And last year, whatever we submitted was taken seriously. Because right now, we're venturing into other countries. We are going to USA, they are buying estates because my team said so. Now they're taking us serious. So we can't afford to say statements and hang the strategy out there. And what is the beauty about it is that about 2 weeks ago we made an acquisition, because we always believe in multiple footprint, not to be located in Germiston. So our chief executive took us so seriously, he actually bought an acquisition of a land whereby we'll have 2 sites as the smelter. For us, we think that was going to happen in 2015, but it has actually happened this year. And as we speak, the facility is going to start running in March 2014, and we'll be increasing employment in my team by 15%. And we're hoping to target ladies, because that's where we're at a shortfall. So we're planning to employ more ladies and redress the current social issues in South Africa. And in 2016, with the strategies that we've submitted, which is coming into play, that my section will actually double, because we're going to employ over 50% of the current staff. So for us, that shows growth, and we're excited about it. One of the things that the award also made me to think about, that I'm thinking different, especially around talent. When you are a young engineer, you are aspirant, you know, it's very hard to give away glory. You always want to be in the sunlight, right? And I run a team of 70, 80 people, and I've got young and talented engineers. Actually, the average age in my team is 29 in my management team. So I'm probably one of the oldest. Actually, I'm the second oldest in my team. And then I'm 35. That's quite strange.
Yeah.
What has happened as well is that the organization has helped me to recruit one of the best pyrometallurgists and hydrometallurgists, so that as we go forward in trying to ensure the strategy that I've just mentioned, the 5-year rolling strategy, currently goes to 2018, that if we are going to size the opportunities that come our way, we should have the talent that goes with that. And currently I'm proud that one of my team members submitted his dissertation and he became 15th in the country for submitting the best work, and he's in the audience. His name is Joseph Kabwe. So that is the talent that we recruit around the family. As well as when I look at the numbers, I've been the smelter manager now for 5 years, and our strategy was to grow the company and moving it forward. And year on year, we're busy making record profits. I mean, I looked at the records before coming here that 2 years ago, I think we were budgeting about 40 million. But in 2018, we budgeted $500 million. And when people look at that, it looks funny. You know, why such a big jump? And then my answer is that I'm not scared of that number because I'm supported by the best, and I go with the best. That number is attainable.
Yeah.
As I said, I looked at empowerment differently. Originally, my section is a lead zone area. So we had problem with fugitive fumes, and we used to average about 3 LTIs about 5 years ago. So it meant that we couldn't employ especially ladies. If they're pregnant, lead is a problem. So we're exclusively male. Now what we did 5 years ago, we borrowed some money from the shareholders, and the shareholders gave us money. And we retrofitted some engineering that we spent some time on, improving the extraction, making sure that the engineering systems are going to minimize the fumes, minimize the dangers. As we speak right now, on the 13th of December, we'll be celebrating 2,000 days running LTI free. That is very strange for smelters. And we are 820 days minor injury free. So it's almost like we're running a hospital while we run with molten materials. And the reason why I mentioned this is that through that process, we started employing females about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And we needed to make them feel welcomed. Now, it's one thing that we're male-dominated. When you start bringing in females, we are males, we tend to forget certain things. And along the way, what I found last year that we didn't have proper ablution facilities for the ladies. That was a problem. So they came screaming and we had to jump. So it was easy for me because having this award, I could go to the FD and say, we made a mistake, we didn't have the money, we didn't do it in our budget, but at least we need to cater for the females, right? Put the toilets. She signed the check very fast. And as we speak, we let one of the 2 ladies to run with the project, and she put such stunning toilets. I must say, as men, we felt jealous as well. We actually asked them to come and assist us. Currently, our toilet are the extension of the canteen, because you can take your food and sit at the toilet and eat. It is that biologically hazard-free. So there are no biological weapons or anything like that. So we are quite proud that our team, as it evolves, not to say we use ladies like that, but they're also technically astute. They come up with certain skills. The quality of work that we present, actually when looking at it now, I'm feeling proud. That as South Africa, we're going forward, especially for our ladies. I'm quite proud that they're in our midst, and young, black, white, talented females that are actually enriching in the spirit of beneficiating of gold in South Africa. Okay. Being a rising star has rejuvenated my passion of what I'm doing in the industry. As I said, I am in the mining industry. And I said earlier that when the award was made in June 2012, I was presenting at the IPMI conference, which is the International Precious Metal Industry Conference in Las Vegas. And for me, being in that conference, that was after I'd spoken to the 3 judges. After the presentation, because of the tips that I'd received for free from the interview of being a rising star, I was approached by the head of the School of Colorado saying he didn't know that in South Africa we do such things. And I was quite proud. I never gave feedback to Shane and Hugo that the tips that they gave me, I ingrained them in my presentation and shared the passion about South Africa, that we might be the third world country, but we've got the first world standards, and we've got a role to play in other sectors and giving direction and vision so that other first world countries can learn from us. So from that, I say thank you. Is Shane still here?
No, it's fine. It's gone.
Oh, is it gone? Okay. They gave me such tips, and I was quite proud of it. And also, I met a wonderful lady, Janet Dupree. She coached me, by the way. That was one of the awards. I must say, she helped me to define. I currently have my own brand now. She helped me to develop my own brand. There's a Refinery brand, there's a Terance Nkosi brand. Mine is a 5-step brand that she helped me to come up with. And one of the line that she helped me to carve, which is appearing in my LinkedIn, it states that for Terance Nkosi, his maximum is give him the tools and the resources and the time, he'll deliver the results. And that is the line that helped me to be invited in other forums, because after that intervention, the door for me opened in other forums. I was also welcome to sit in executive committees to come and give an input. I'm currently sitting in the TMC committee, Talent Management Committee, whereby we look at the talent and give inputs in our organization. I'm also part of the EE Forum, making sure representing all the black males, I think, all the males in the forum. Also, I'm part of the CapEx committee, giving direction where to spend the money, so I can object where I don't like where the money is going, and I can put my advice or ideas where the money should be spent at. So that is the line, Janet, that will help me to reinvent myself, that has opened doors for me. Thank you for that. Sorry. One of the biggest learning for me from the last year's summit, we had a privilege of sitting at the summit and listening to keynote speakers. One keynote speaker of the day that I learned a lot from was Peter McLaren. He challenged us last year that as young people or talented people, when they talk about trips about London, we raise our hands. USA, Atlanta, we raise our hands. But when they talk about Kinshasa, the hands are dropping. Abuja, no one wants to go there. So he challenged us in the audience, say, please make sure that you go to those markets, okay? So after that, I went back to my organization. I said, okay, I'd like to trade in my London ticket for Kinshasa, okay? And unfortunately, early this year, we all know about the Goma story, my word. So that was a problem in DRC. So I managed to go to DRC early this year, and I was marveled by what I saw. And I was actually surprised that there is actually so much value and benefit, especially for my organization, where we can find more gold to refine, go and assist in that country. And I came back and I shared that feedback. As we speak, we're busy rearranging our focus to focus on Africa as well, rather than focusing in the first world countries. And I made wonderful friends, and I'm trying to speak French, learning my French. And what I was pleasantly surprised about the country is that people are friendly. It was for me, it was an important thing to note that when you look at people, you must get to know them. Don't judge them at face value, which is one of the things that they say about the rising star, that we should not look down to people who look upon us. Because being a rising star actually means to be the voice for the voiceless, be the ambassador for those who don't have a chance, and provide an enabling environment for those who can be better than you. Don't compete, but allow the space for people who are better than you to excel. Because if they excel, they pull you up with them as well. And for that, I have volunteered that when there's a trip to Ghana, I'll raise my hand. A trip to Mali, I'll raise my hand. In the first world, I watched the video about 2 weeks ago in the TED, I think it's TED site. They talk about Africa, that in 2050 it will be the biggest economy after China. The question is, what are we doing currently to make sure that when that time comes, we are ready? Because they say when opportunity meets preparedness, success results. So we don't want the Chinese to come and run Africa, nor the Americans to come and run Africa. Africa should be run by Africans. Second last, one thing that I learned from being a rising star is that as a future leader, we normally talk about, as we look at ROIs, ROEs, PE ratios. Those are the financial indicators that makes business sense when you run CapExes. But one thing that we picked up in the last year's summit is that in future days to come with the Marikana saga, that's not good enough. There are social issues. We need to look at that. So as future leaders, as I say, rising stars or talented people, we need to look at that to say, what are we going to do to address that? For me, out of the session last year, I took it so seriously because I went back to the streams where I participated, looking at the social issues in South Africa. After the session, I went and adopted 5 matriculants that I said I'll try financially, and if time permits, provide them with mentoring so they can pass their matric. So I financially support for their studies, and I also mentor them in subjects that I know about. That's physics and maths. The others I'm a bit struggling. And I also support some few guys from the tertiary. And then part of that, I also went back and joined the community of, I'm belonging to Dutch Reformed Church. I went because I'm currently running a smelter and we're doing so well financially, but my church is struggling. So I went and plowed my talent there. I said to the financial committee, let's review how we generate revenue, because it's one thing to say a church is supposed to behave in a certain way, but we should also run it like a business. We should not come for free. Their service is rendered. So having that mindset, we started to formulate the vision, change some few strategies. I'm proud to announce that over the last 2 years, we have managed to change 2 churches, one in Witbank, one in Pretoria, which were averaging between 200 to 300,000. Now they're having revenue of over 1 million. And part of that is because of the vision that the Rising Star encourages us to have, that we must go and plow back to our organization, to our society. And on top of that, having realized the plight in South Africa, what business can do, we went back to our organization and challenged our business partners in the Asia team to say, how about you increase the number of graduates that we onboard in a year to year? Because we used to get a quota of 2 per section. But for 2014, we've been given a quota of 5 per sections. So in that, I'm going to recruit those to be 5 females if I can, but to make sure that we try and balance the disparity. And with the team that I have, I know that after 1 year, they can go back to the workplace with the team that I have, as I said, with 5 years experience, because the team that I have will polish them so that when they go back to the market, they'll be so knowledgeable. So that is the part that I played in my organization with my team, to challenge and encourage that we change some procedures which were meant to say, why don't you onboard more people so that we can give back to South Africa. So in closing of my speech, I'd like to quote Mrs. Griselda Canada, who is the radio personality and motivational speaker. She shared something. We invited her in one of our events in our organization. We had a safety day. She came and addressed us. And one of the things she said that as talented people, we should always strive to do our best, irrespective of whoever is looking. Whether there are politics in the organization, let's not put them into heart, because you might not know who's looking. So whenever a task is given, do your best, because when the door will open in the future, you can actually jump levels. You can be suppressed in one band, but when you are that good, you will jump levels. Someone will come and realize the talent. So with that, I'd like to say thank you. For me, the journey has been exciting, and I hope that I can continue to contribute and plow back so that when we look into the future, into South Africa, we should be proud to say South Africa was the light of Africa.